welcome back, I should say, to the Broadcast Your Brilliant Summit. Today, we have Adrian Rivera. Now, Adrian is the founder of Breath of Gold, which is a breathwork business that supports you in finding wealth and wisdom from within. She works with coaches and healers to support them in creating abundance in their businesses so that they can have more abundance in all areas of their lives. So, Adrian, I really want to fill this gap in here of what in the world breath work has to do with creating, all of us here watching are like, I need more clients, I need more money, but what does breath work and breathing have to do with this?
Yeah, so I believe that breath work is totally the missing link when it comes to entrepreneurship, CEOs. Every single week I have my CEO breathwork session, which I have someone lead me in breathwork. I do it at least once, sometimes twice a week. And I believe that we have all the answers and the wisdom within us, and that most of us are creating our businesses from our brain, our conscious waking mind, rather than dropping into the subconscious and seeing what actually wants to be created through us. So the main reason why I use breathwork in my business is to see clearly the picture of where I'm heading, to connect to my business vision, and to also get messages. So whatever I feel like I need, either maybe it's a confidence breakthrough or it's clarity, I set that intention, and 9 times out of 10, I get that intention. That 10th time, I get something that I didn't even know I needed. So I always love to say breathwork gives us what we need and to surrender. So we set that intention and then we surrender. One of my favorite times that I've used breathwork in my business was when I was filling a retreat and I had done all the promo that I could have ever done. I reached out to all the people that I could have reached out to. And then I said, well, haven't done breathwork around this. So I went into a breathwork journey and I said, God, show me who are the people that I'm forgetting that are supposed to be at this retreat. And then 30 more names came through, and 2 of those people said yes to coming, which was pretty awesome. And the retreat was full like a week later. So I was like making it so hard. And then I just allowed myself to surrender. And then the clarity came through. So I like to say that breath work is all about receiving clarity and also releasing trauma. In business, as we grow to different levels, there's all these little micro traumas that can happen that we don't even sometimes address. It could be as simple as a new entrepreneur getting like a no and taking it personally and internalizing that and then not doing anything with it. Breathwork gives us that space to feel it, heal it, change the narrative, and then move beyond it. I know this because 4 years ago when I was starting my business, I got a no on a sales call that I was hiding under the covers for 2 weeks, not literally, but energetically. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. This is so hard. And now it's I'm at the point where I play the no game with myself. How many no's can we get? The no's don't mean anything. Let's just put ourselves out there,
I love that. Instead of avoiding, because we can't control the no's, but it's part of the process, right? It's you can almost expect it. You almost expect not everybody to say yes, right? And it just makes sense. So,
yeah,
what are some other, let's say that we are struggling with showing up. I think one of the biggest fears this group, as healers, and of course we're healers, right? Shouldn't we already have this done? We should be able to set to go and heal the fear of putting ourselves out there, I think is one of the most common ones. And I love how you brought up these things from our past will still come back even when we're building our business, and we get so hung up on the perfect sales script and the perfect funnel and the perfect email that we forget about how we're showing up in the end. And we don't look back at our posts. Are you reading your posts back to yourself? Are you watching your live streams? I know it's painful sometimes.
Are you?
I like to watch my live streams back and see what kind of energy that I'm getting back, or reread something that I wasn't sure about and just see what comes through for me. That's something that I like to do. But what are other ways, or what are other things we can use breath work to help us with our business? I know you mentioned the getting the no, getting rejected. Some people call it on sales conversations. Where else have you used this for business?
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to what you mentioned, like the fear of showing up, because I feel like this is the biggest roadblock for so many entrepreneurs, so many healers. And you painted the beautiful narrative of so many people that want to do the funnels or want to do the busy work and not actually just put themselves out there. And really what that comes down to is intimacy and vulnerability. Those are the two things that we get to confront when we are putting ourselves out there. And when I've worked through this with clients, the biggest fear that they have is like their family seeing their business. So then we do inner child work in the breathwork journeys and go within and, well, why is it that you're projecting all of these thoughts that you think your mother and father are going to think of you by having this online business? What does that really say you feel about yourself? Working through some of those narratives and then asking them at the end of the session, so what would it be like to create these conversations with your parents? What would it be like to already have the intimacy and the vulnerable relationships with your parents so that you're not like, I hope they don't see this, but instead they already know you, like creating those relationships again. I know some coaches say, just unfriend the parents. You could do that too. It really depends, but I do feel like there's a huge breakthrough when it comes to family and intimacy and just being authentic, saying what is important to you and clearing the ice wherever you're hiding. So breath work shows us where we're hiding and why we're hiding. And there's so many different ways that we can use it. I mentioned inner child work. Sometimes with breath work, we can actually go into past memories and visualize ourselves getting whatever we needed in that moment. I went on a retreat one time that was actually, there was a situation where there was a little bit of micro trauma created. We did a exercise. It was very vulnerable and I did not feel like I had the support in that moment. So my fiance, who is my love, like he always makes me feel safe. I just saw myself as I was processing and feeling this micro trauma in breath work. And I added him to the scene. I saw him giving me a hug. And then I saw everyone giving me a hug because my inner child in that moment, she just needed a hug. That's literally all she needed. And so even though my conscious mind knows that's not how it happened, energetically, that's how it happened. Like I was able to feel that, what I needed, and to release what had happened. And in breath work, the motto is we get to feel it in order to heal it. So I like to think about breath work like the inhale and the exhale. Sometimes we receive more, sometimes we release more. It really just depends on where we're at, what we're needing. So I use breath work for manifesting clients, getting clear on who to connect with. I have a theory in business that it's not about doing more, but it's about doing the right things, which to me is I would much rather have breathwork tell me 4 people that are a good fit for my program than need to do all these number games and like push the strategy so much. I'm grateful that I have the business strategy as the foundation. And that's what I like to support people with in my mastermind of here's the foundation. Now you know how to think like a CEO. Now use the intuition and see what needs to shift. So does that answer?
Yeah. What was coming up for me when you were talking was maybe some people watching can relate to this. Like sometimes I'll like hold my breath when I'm speaking on camera. And so my question is like, what does that even mean? Like if we're holding our breath when we're getting on camera or showing up on social media, and then like, what are the qualities of our breath do you work with? I'm assuming it's like even now I can feel like my breath is in my chest and it's not in my belly. So I can shift it and move it around. But what are some of the other qualities of breath that you work with?
Yeah, this is a really great question. So first I want to share like what even is breath work, because people listening may have tried breath work, but is it the breath work that I'm referring to? So I mainly lead something called circular connected breath. And this is breathing in and out through the mouth in a circular connected way, no pause at the top, no pause at the bottom. So it's an hour-long journey and it looks like this. It's like, so this drops us into an altered state of consciousness where we can receive all the messages and all the energetic upgrades. Now, we should not be breathing that way all the time. This is just like a journey, kind of like how when we're breathing, how we're like running on a track. If we're doing sprints, you'll be breathing in and out through your mouth, but you shouldn't be doing sprints all the time, only a few times a week, maybe. I used to be a fitness coach, so I love running. breath work is usually a term to describe like deeper journey style breath work, which is like circular connected breath, 3-part breath, holotropic breath work. What we mean by journey is something that gets us into an altered state where we can have an experience. Some people say it feels very similar to a plant medicine journey. So the full hour at least is needed in order to really drop us into that state where we can see things, feel things, and have that spiritual experience. Now, sometimes people say breath work, but what they're really meaning is breathing exercises, pranayama, like in a yoga class where they do like alternate nasal breathing or bellows breath or different breathing exercises that are usually shorter and usually done in and out through the nose. And that is really great for calming yourself, slowing down the nervous system, and regulating the nervous system, getting into rest and digest, parasympathetic. All of that is amazing. So if someone ever is like nervous before a speaking event or something, I actually did this earlier this year when I flew out to Utah for a speaking gig. I did box breath. And I was sitting there, I was so nervous. I'm like, what am I going to say? And I just sat there, and I love box breath because you only need a few rounds of it. You're breathing in for 4, holding for 4, out for 4, holding for 4. And you're just realizing your breath, focusing on it, feeling what's there, and it calms you. The Navy SEALs use it to get focused, and you can imagine how much stress they probably have with different situations with what they're asked to do. So it allows you to focus. So there's so many ways that we can use our breath. And I like to use breath work to kind of like wake up the body and see what's there several times a week. Less is more when it comes to breath work. I believe that the integration process is really important. So once a week could be plenty. And then you're integrating that whole week with the messages that came through and allowing yourself to embody it. Some people ask me like, can I do breath work multiple times a day, every day? I'm like, if you need to do it that much, you are not integrating. You're not taking the lessons. That is probably leading towards spiritual bypassing. And so we need to feel it, heal it. And my advice to anyone who has any sort of practice, whether it's hypnosis, breath work, take immediate action. If you just worked on fear of being seen, immediately afterwards, go live. If you just worked on intimacy with mom, dad, immediately call them afterwards, because it's so easy to fall back into the fear. And we can get this like hit of like, wow, this is what it's like without the fear. And then we slowly go back into the fear. So it's not a fix forever, but it can be this powerful catalyst and give us so much clarity. So you mentioned, what does it mean if I feel like I'm holding my breath? That can be nerves. That can be fear of being seen, fear of speaking your truth. We could go into throat chakras and all of that, energetics. But for me, it's more about asking the question. Like if I was guiding you through a breathwork session, I would ask you, like, was there ever a time where you felt like in childhood, it wasn't safe to speak your truth?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you had to suppress your voice or that your voice didn't matter? Like those are the kinds of questions to explore that are intuitively coming through. If anyone here listening has ever had that happen.
It's so powerful. I mean, when you really think about it, like a lot of hypnosis is breath work. Like you mentioned,
Really?
a lot of psychotherapists use breath work. A lot of counselors and therapists use breath work. I think breath work is really almost the foundation. I mean, it's a foundation for life. I mean, really, you're breathing whether you know it or not. And I think we forget that there's this automatic process going on all the time that's really consistent. And so, you know, us as hypnotists, what we do is we use our breath as like an anchor. So it's just something to pay attention to if we're like all the way out here and, you know, paying attention, analyzing and too busy and anxious. We just like, you know, anchor the breath. But, you know, there's so much I have not learned about it, but it was interesting as you're telling that story. You know, I don't do a lot of the fancy techniques I've been taught on myself anymore. I literally just control my breath. And I was going to do, it's funny you mentioned the Navy. As soon as I went full-time into my business, the Navy reached out to me. It's super funny. I got fired from the government, and then the government reached out to me to do a speaking gig as a hypnotist and with it within the same 7 days, which was the most bizarre thing. I was like, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But I was standing out in the hallway. It was my first speaking gig. I think in a while. I think this was like right after. Actually, it was like 20. It was during COVID, so there weren't like a lot of speaking gigs going on. but I'm standing out the hallway in the nerves, like, oh my God, I haven't done this in a while. And then I noticed my breath, and it was just like high stuck in my chest. And I just slowed it down, like closed my eyes. And next thing you knew, it was like all the nerves were shut off. And I just like walked in, and I do this over and over again. And I've come to realize, I'm like, really, if you can just intentionally use your breath to create state change, I mean,
that's exactly it.
You're set for life almost, you know? So I'm sure I'm just skidding like the iceberg. I'm sure this is like the tip of the iceberg with what you teach, Adrian. But, you know, one of our biggest struggles as we scale in our business is what you talked about before, which is like trust, really building trust in ourselves. And like, we want to trust the process is going to work, and then things that are really kind of unstable. You know, how do we block ourselves from abundance of clients, and clients who are especially like actually willing to work with us? Like, they want to pay us almost, but we're like, we've got the barriers up.
Yes, this is such a good question. And I have so many things that I want to share about it. The first is around trust. And what I believe about trust is that we have to learn how to surrender. And just like what you said about state change, trust is created in the body. It's like, if you say you trust with your words, but you're like contracted and you don't trust, it's not trust. It's not surrender. So breath work really supports us in being able to surrender. When we breathe in this way for so long, it is shifting the levels of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the body. And sometimes the hands can even cramp up like this. And the worst thing to do, like, it's totally normal. The worst thing to do is to fight it. Cause I mean, worst case scenario, you're sore the next day, but you really can't open it up. The only way to shift that is to return to nasal breathing, and then it'll shift. But the point in sharing this is to put yourself in this uncomfortable state where this may happen. And you're like, okay, surrender. You literally have to surrender. You cannot control anymore. And so I believe that trust and surrender are this, like, it's like this learned process, even in intimacy, even in relationships, even with making love. Like, can you trust and surrender in your body in order to receive love? It's the same as receiving money. Can you feel the money in your body and receive it? One of the practices that I always love to do with receiving money is whenever I get an email come in saying, you've just got paid, no matter how much it is, I slow down, I breathe with it, I thank it, and I just feel it. And I allow myself to feel, okay, where am I receiving this in my body? And to embody the abundance that is flowing to me and through me. I like to say through me because I also give to the cycle, because again, if we're clamping onto all the money that we earn, saying it's my money, it's never going to come back to me, then that is not abundance. Abundance is there's always more where this comes from, and choosing to invest our money in causes and things that we feel good about and we feel aligned to. So I believe that a lot of the times we block ourselves from getting clients because our subconscious doesn't actually want more clients. You may be a busy, stressed out mom, and the last thing you want to do is be on more Zoom calls. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You keep saying that you want clients and you don't, right?
Yeah. I remember I used to, I don't know if it was me or it was a client, but we will talk our clients out of working with us. I can think of so many calls in the past where I've been like, I just need to get it over with, or like, as long as I show up, that's fine. Like, as long as I do the call, it's fine. Like, but really it wasn't fine. It was not fine. It wasn't the outcome that I really wanted. So like you said, we end up sabotaging the process, because deep down it's like, oh no, what if we're successful? It was actually a fear of mine. What if they said yes? It was actually a fear, not even a fear of no, but a fear of yes, you know?
Yeah, that is so common. And what I hear from a lot of my clients is, what if they say yes? And what if they've paid me so much? And what if I can't actually get them the results? Like that fear, the fear of responsibility. And that totally is a valid fear. I can relate, because I remember there was a client that hired me to grow their business. And there was like so much inner work and resistance that I like woke up at 3 a.m. thinking about this client, like thinking about their bank account, not mine. Like, what do I get to do? Like, I've got to make them all this extra stuff. It's kind of crazy. So it's normal to have all of these fears, but if we're not doing any type of inner work, like breath work, hypnosis, meditation or coaching, masterminding, mentorship, to see what is the subconscious actually saying. So we say we want clients, but do we really want clients? Or do we want money? And is there a way that we can get money in a way that feels good? Maybe you don't want one-on-one clients. I know for me, I only feel good about having 3 one-on-one clients in my life at a time. Like that is my capacity to go really deep with people. What I love is groups. And so I create lots of group containers, and that feels really good to me. If you were to ask me, Adrian, I'm going to give you 15 more one-on-one clients that you're going to have calls with every week. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to be in alignment. Like my subconscious will not allow that to happen. So it's getting clear around what you're actually desiring. Oftentimes we say, we want more clients, and that in order to do that, like our brain creates rules. In order to get more clients, we have to show up. But maybe the subconscious doesn't actually like social media. Maybe there's massive resistance, and we can totally work on that. And your relationship with social media can evolve and change as you work with it. And no matter what your relationship was in the past, you can always improve it, like any relationship, I believe. But there's also no right or wrong way to build business. Last year I made 300K, and I barely was on Facebook. I barely was on Instagram. I had actually my Instagram was, not active for 4 months because it got shut down. And then I had 1,300 followers. So you can imagine one client came through Instagram last year, and I was not focusing on there, but I was focusing on emails, events, email list building, that kind of stuff. And that felt in alignment with me. Now I'm at a place where I'm I do actually want to play a little bit in the social media realm again, but do it in a way that feels good and sustainable. I think a lot of the times we say that the only way money can flow to me is through a certain box that we've created. Yeah. I know I used to be this way when I first started my business. I'm the only way to get clients is to go out there and get them. I gotta go get these clients. It's crazy. And then this is a funny story. I actually remember waking up 4 months into my business thinking oh my God, I think this person named blah, blah, blah reached out to me, and I think she wanted to work with me. Is this a real thing, or was this a dream? And so I go back into my Facebook Messenger. Sure enough, 4 months ago, she had wanted to work with me, and my subconscious was just you're not worthy unless you work hard for it. So I completely blocked it, and then it surfaced again. And so luckily for me, I reached out to her. I was confident. I was ready to hold the space for her. And we got on a call, and she ended up signing up for my largest package that I had at the time, which was really awesome. But I'm come on, this is 4 months. She totally could have gone and found someone else to solve her problems and all the things. So I feel the biggest thing that blocks us is us, our beliefs, our own way.
Yeah, I know I often hear, and I used to say this in the past, well, I need the money. But let me tell you, last year I was doing $20,000 months, and I was so miserable. The money was there, but my clients weren't in alignment. I was grinding. I was working with clients who would pay me. Some of them would use me like a membership, like a gym membership, not a lot, but once in a while. One's I'm just not going to show up, ghosting, rescheduling. And I was what's going on here? And it was just the alignment piece. So look, what we're saying here in a nutshell is look, there's a strategy, and go find one. But how are you showing up in the strategy? What is your feelings around the strategy? Is it bringing what you want, really, what you really want? Because I had the clients, my intention was any clients. So I got clients, but I was so tired, miserable, and just not working with people on playing on my level. And that's when I realized, I was oh my gosh, I am not showing up how the person I really am, like you said, the actual vulnerability, being vulnerable, being, talking. We're not just talking about crying on social media. We're talking about like sharing your full story so people can relate, and then your vibration, right? Like all of these things. Adrian, am I going in the ballpark here of what you're saying?
Totally. I 100% agree with everything that you are saying. Yes, it is who we are that attracts the abundance to us. I recently did a summit and I was a speaker on it and created, I have to do the math, but at least 45,000 in sales and so many calls, like so much abundance. And the most recent one that I had, I asked her, so what was it that I said that made you want to say yes to booking a call? And she said, it wasn't anything that you said. In fact, I can't remember any of the words that you said, but it was how I felt in your presence. It was the energy that you emitted. And it really just goes to show that that is so much more important than the words that we say or any script that we could read. It's the energy and being a real human being so people can feel you.
I just had the same, it was so funny, last Friday, I don't even know what day it is today, but a few days ago, same conversation, just like giving that energy of a real person, not someone who's out there to impress or needs them, or is like like you're present with them. And I think we had a summit speaker on a previous summit. She said, people don't buy your products, they don't buy your services, they buy your energy, because people either feel safe, right? Or they're going to go into fight or flight. Like, let's be honest here. We're going to give off signals that send people running for the hills, or we're going to be like present, listening, like concerned mentors, right? And, I know we had to wrap up. We don't have a whole lot of time, but Adrian, you talk about the 4 ways that breathwork can help us to grow and scale our businesses. I know we don't have a lot of time, but just can you briefly touch on these 4 things?
Yes. So the first way I've touched on briefly, this is clarity. So going into breathwork for your own journey and getting clarity on what to do next. The second way is to support your clients in getting better results. So I recommend that people bring in a breathwork facilitator to their group coaching program, or they do a breathwork certification to then add breathwork, because so much can be done through mindset and strategy, which I have in my mastermind, but we also need the breathwork. We need the energy piece. So that is a huge part, like getting them actually amazing results. The best testimonials I've ever had have all come from breathwork, and it's the energy piece. Third is that it can add more income. So by adding breathwork into a coaching business, it can support in having more value, having more testimonials, and that ripple effect just flows on and on and on. So it will increase your revenue. And then fourth is creating an experience, very similar to what you were just saying about the speaker who shared that they buy your energy. What people are buying into and what they really want is an experience. They don't want more modules. They don't want more Zoom. They don't want more time off of their calendar. They want an experience. They want to feel something. It's like, why do people go to a nice dinner? They want to feel the ambiance and feel a certain way. So those are the 4 ways: clarity, improving your client results, adding more income, and then creating an experience.
This is so true. I'm trying to think back. Like I just invested personally like $18K into a mastermind. And I was having a conversation with my friend yesterday. And I was like, you know what? The more honest I am with myself, I believe I put in $18K because I just wanted to be part of the community. I think above all of the strategy, the videos, the blah, 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 I was like, I don't want to be not here. So that was really the investment, was their energy, the like-minded, and this group is all about energy. They're all about like, just open receiving and just letting the cards fall where they may. So I know we could talk all day, Adrian, and we have to wrap up here. And I know you have a free gift for this audience, which I highly recommend for you all to go grab as soon as we're done talking about it.
Yes, of course. So it is a 2-in-1. The first part is a free breathwork journey experience with me. Every single Sunday, I lead breathwork online. And if you ever can't make it, or if you see the time doesn't work for you, feel free to email me, reach out, and I can send you the recording. But yeah, we've talked about breathwork, and you can talk about breathwork all day, but unless you experience it, it may not really shift or click for you. So I want to give you that. And then if you scroll to the bottom of the page, there's an option to book a call with me, an intuitive business channeled reading. That's where I can tap into the energy of your business, see what needs to shift either within you or your business in order to get to your next level. So that is there for you if you resonate with it and want to have a conversation.
Yeah, super valuable, guys. So click the link below. It doesn't matter. Maybe you have a business, you're trying to scale. I say if you're in the scaling process, this is the next step, right? Is getting in alignment is what's really, whether, you can call it niching down or specializing, but really what you're doing is you're getting in alignment, right? With your messaging, with your market, with your dream, most perfect customer. And really that has to come from within. Like you can't just design this with critical thinking, right? So go click the link below, go reach out, go check out Adrian's stuff. Like I'm really so curious about breathwork after all the techniques and everything I'm learning. I'm like, it's all just breathing. Yeah. So Adrian, I want to thank you so much for your time and it's just incredible work that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.